The world is so full of a number of things, I'm sure we should all be as happy as kings. Don't judge each day by the harvest you reap but by the seeds that you plant. Life is not a matter of holding good cards, but of playing a poor hand well. You start a question, and it's like starting a stone. You sit quietly on the top of a hill, and away the stone goes, starting others. There comes an end to all things, the most capacious measure is filled at last, and this brief condescension to evil finally destroyed the balance of my soul. All human beings, as we meet them, are commingled out of good and evil, and Edward Hyde, alone, in the ranks of mankind, was pure evil. His affections, like ivy, were the growth of time, they implied no aptness in the object. The less I understood of this farrago, the less I was in a position to judge of its importance. She had an evil face, smoothed by hypocrisy, but her manners were excellent. Jekyll had more than a father's interest, Hyde had more than a son's indifference. Oh my poor old Harry Jekyll, if ever I read Satan's signature upon a face, it is on that of your new friend. To cast in it with Hyde was to die 1,000 interests and aspirations. If it comes to swinging, swing all, say I. My father was always saying the inn would be ruined, for people would soon cease coming there to be tyrannized over and put down, and sent shivering to their beds, but I really believe his presence did us good. People were frightened at the time, but on looking back they rather liked it. It was a fine excitement in a quiet country life. Dead men don't bite. There's never a man looked me between the eyes and seen a good day afterwards. We must go on, because we can't turn back. It is one thing to mortify curiosity, another to conquer it. With every day, and from both sides of my intelligence, the moral and the intellectual, I thus drew steadily nearer to the truth, by whose partial discovery I have been doomed to such a dreadful shipwreck, that man is not truly one, but truly two. You must suffer me to go my own dark way. If I am the chief of sinners, I am the chief of sufferers also. I learned to recognize the thorough and primitive duality of man. I saw that, of the two natures that contended in the field of my consciousness, even if I could rightly be said to be either, it was only because I was radically both. I sometimes think if we knew all, we should be more glad to get away. Someday, after I am dead, you may perhaps come to learn the right and wrong of this. I cannot tell you. Here then, as I lay down the pen and proceed to seal up my confession, I bring the life of that unhappy Henry Jekyll to an end. It was for 1 minute that I saw him, but the hair stood upon my head like quills. Sir, if that was my master, why had he a mask upon his face? I like that boy, now, I never seen a better boy than that. He's more a man than any pair of rats of you in this here house, and what I say is this, let me see him that'll lay a hand on him, that's what I say, and you may lay to it. If you keep on drinking rum, the world will soon be quit of a very dirty scoundrel. Then it was that there came into my head the first of the mad notions that contributed so much to save our lives. Sir, with no intention to take offense, I deny your right to put words into my mouth. Between Silver and myself we got together in a few days a company of the toughest old salts imaginable, not pretty to look at, but fellows, by their faces, of the most indomitable spirit. The captain has said too much or he has said too little, and I'm bound to say that I require an explanation of his words. That man is a success who has lived well, laughed often and loved much. Quiet minds cannot be perplexed or frightened but go on in fortune or misfortune at their own private pace, like a clock during a thunderstorm. An aim in life is the only fortune worth finding. Lastly, no woman should marry a teetotaler, or a man who does not smoke. It is not for nothing that this ignoble tabagi, as Michelet calls it, spreads all over the world. Compromise is the best and cheapest lawyer. You can give without loving, but you can never love without giving. Wine is bottled poetry. To travel hopefully is a better thing than to arrive. You cannot run away from weakness, you must sometime fight it out or perish, and if that be so, why not now, and where you stand? There is only one difference between a long life and a good dinner, that, in the dinner, the sweets come last.